Screencast 2, Child Find and Student Study Team. Strategies for communicating with parents before student study team. A conference should be scheduled with the parents. The person who is running this meeting should be factual and not emotional. They should ask the parent to work with the child at home, ask parents about expectations for the child, ask parents to participate as a part of the student study team, and explain that you're going to request a student study be done. They participate by coming to another meeting and explain the purpose as a way to find and help support an academic, social, and behavioral progress for their child. Parent preparation sheet. The parent should be given a parent preparation sheet at this point after they decided that they want to go with the student study team. You should offer to help them fill it out, give them the elementary or secondary student skills worksheet as well to obtain relevant information for their child, and both should be brought to the SST meeting. This is an example of a parent preparation sheet. It has the child's strengths, concerns, how the parent is going to help the student be successful, things that the child is motivated by, or goals or expectations they have. That will just get everyone moving in the right direction. Feelings and reactions of parents. Some feelings they could be feeling are shock and denial, where the parent denies that there's a problem with their student. 2 is anger, guilt, or blaming. The parent admits there's admits there's a problem, but there's a reason for it. The 3rd one is resignation. 4th is depression. 5th is acceptance. And reactions and responses could be all kids fight, or she reads just fine at home, or he's just going through a phase. For the 2nd one, it could be it's the teachers or schools or my ex-husband's fault, or if only blank hadn't occurred. For the 3rd one, it runs in the family, or he's always been like that. The 4th one is I can't bear this, or what will people think? And the 5th one is I believe and I understand the issue and would like to work on a plan to resolve them, or this is difficult for us to hear, but we want to find a way to support our child. SST process. First, gathering student data. 2nd is plan strategies to assist the student within the resources of a general education program. 3, monitor student progress, builds trust between parents and schools, and makes referrals to formal evaluations when needed. This is an example of a sample student study team summary sheet. So we have the name of the student, dates of the meeting, teacher, school, what team it is, primary language, grade, birth, parents, male or female, and we have strengths, known information, modifications that are used, concerns, questions, strategies, actions, and whose responsibility it is and when. And then there's a follow-up date at the bottom. The role of the accommodations within the SST. Accommodations are just resources that we can use listed. They should be listed in the SST meeting to help a child meet their needs. This may include change in seating, increasing one-on-one student-teacher to student aid time, allow students to use larger print books, allow extra time on tests or assignments, and monitoring student progress. Digital accommodations include computer games that help children practice the basic skills, like extra math or Prodigy. Some children respond very well to visual rewards associated with achievement of a task. For example, in Prodigy, when you get so far, you get so many points, you get to play a game. Using a computer or tablet to help students write notes or complete assignments. It could just be a different way of learning. Digital text readers and voice recognition software to write papers. Sensory accommodations. There are many different types of seats, like the physio ball seats or padded seats or different things like that. Sensory feedbacks, mats, manipulatives, headphones, and other types of clothing designed to help manage sensory issues, such as like a weighted vest, or physio ball seat, or change to softer lighting in the classroom. The second part of the screencast is about LRE. The first thing is the provision of the PL 94-142 in regards to the least restrictive environment. It was the first of a series of laws by Congress to help improve the lives of people with learning disabilities. The intent was to provide each handicapped child with a free and appropriate education in the least restrictive environment. LRE is different for everyone, and services are available for individuals who are learning disabled, cognitively impaired, hearing disabled, speech and language disabled, visually disabled, emotionally impaired, orthopedically impaired, OHI, deaf-blind, autistic, or those who have traumatic brain injuries. Parental rights in the law. It's important to build a trusting relationship with the parents in order to promote a two-way exchange of information, such as homework issues. If the parent doesn't know that there's homework being brought home, if the child doesn't tell the parent, it's hard for the parent to help. It's important that we have these relationships with the parents. The parents have to be given a copy of their rights. That's part of the law. It requires confidential treatment of child records, review and inspection of records, have copies of all records and any documentations regarding their child on file with the school. Release records to non-school personnel is not admitted. To be notified in advance of any meeting pertaining to their child or request of assessment. They also have the right to be apprised of the assessment to be used, request an independent evaluation at public expense, have input into the development of the IEP, refuse services or placement in special education, have an independent, fully paid private school placement if deemed necessary, and request to have a fair hearing if disagreement arises in regards to the identification, placement, or services for the student. Ronker v. Walter, the court required a school to serve a child with a disability in a non-segregated setting when the necessary support could be provided to make that setting appropriate. The student with disability cannot be removed from the general education simply because they needed modifications to the general curriculum. It requires that options be available in general education programs within our general education facilities. Law 32 CFR 300.116. It was a recent change to the IDEA law. Students with disabilities cannot be removed from the general education simply because they needed modifications to the general curriculum. Options must be available in general education programs within our general education facilities. The process must be followed by the IEP team, which includes an explanation of the extent to which the students will not participate with non-disabled students in the general education program in extracurricular and other non-academic activities, and education assessments are not to be based on the label describing the student's disability or the availability of programs. Universal Dedication Vision Statements. The board adopted its Universal Education Vision Statement in October of 2005, and the vision statement includes a principle that honors the right of students to learn together. Highly qualified provisions of 20 U.S.C. 1401, 34 CFR 300.18. Schools are to employ only highly qualified special education teachers. A highly qualified special education teacher must have several qualifications related to providing specialized instruction, and it must also have content matter qualifications that meets the highly qualified standard in the No Child Left Behind law. 20 U.S.C. 1401, 34 CFR 300.39 requires that schools offer all students access to the general curriculum according to the standards set by the state. Special education classes must be offered to students with disabilities access to the curriculum that addresses the grade level content expectation up to 8th grade and the high school graduation standards, grades 9 to 12. LRE in Section 504. Section 504 also mandates education in the least restrictive environment and states that if students are placed away from regular school, the facility, equipment, and program available in that placement must be comparable to those available in the regular school. The third part of the screencast is assessment and planning. Multidisciplinary team process. Evaluation of the child's progress and the ability is carried out by a team of professionals, including the school psychologist, the classroom teacher, the special education teacher, the nurse, the parent, the school administrator, and others who may be important. Each contribute information to the report that will be used as the basis for forming an educational plan customized for that student. Larry P. vs. Riles, California, 1979. Was a controversy over whether IQ tests are radically and culturally discriminatory based on content. For example, if someone who lives in a landlocked state gets asked about a fishing rod, is that discriminatory based on where they live? The instrument chosen to assess IQ should be appropriate to the age of the individual being tested, free of cultural bias. Common intelligent quotient tests. Common tests include the Welsher Intelligence Scales for Children, Stanford Binet Intelligence Scales 5th edition, Kaufman Assessment Battery for Children 2nd edition, Slauson Intelligent Test Revised, and the Test of Nonverbal Intelligence 3rd edition. The WISC 5 is the most widely used. There's 3 tests in the series: the preschool and primary scale of intelligence for 4 to 6.5 years, the scale for children 6 to 16.1 years, and adult intelligence scale from 16 years to any above. The verbal tests include information, similarities, arithmetic, vocabulary, comprehension, and digit span. And performance tests include picture completion, picture arrangement, block design, object assembly, coding, and symbol search and mazes. Academic assessment commonly used. Commonly used assessments are the Brigance Diagnostic Inventory of Basic Skills, as K through 9 tests, and it tests readiness in reading, language arts, and mathematics. The Kaufman Test of Educational Achievement is pre-K through 12. It tests decoding skills, comprehension, spelling, mathematical computation, and application. The Peabody Individual Achievement Test. There's 2 levels, K through 12. It tests general knowledge, reading recognition, reading comprehension, spelling, written expression, and mathematics. There's the Wide Range Achievement Test, the Woodcock-Johnson Battery, and the Welsher Individual Achievement Test. Observation and data collected. The frequency/event and rate recording documents methods involved in counting the number of times a behavior occurs in a specific time period. A duration recording documents the length of the behavior by recording the time the behavior begins and ends. An interval recording documents whether a behavior occurred during a particular period. In order to determine this, an observation period is divided into brief intervals. And some assessment types for patterns of strengths and weaknesses are an assessment could be like a benchmark screening. For if it was a strength for someone, they'd be at benchmark level or above. If it was a weakness, they'd be at risk or below 10% if using local norms. Progress monitoring, strength would be meeting or exceeding the aim line. The weakness would be falling below aim line for at least 4 consecutive data points on the most recent test. A criterion reference test, if it was a strength, the skill would be at or above grade level. The weakness would be below grade level. And for a test like the MEEP test, a strength would be at level 1 or 2, a weakness would be at level 3 or 4. The discrepancy model is used by schools to determine if kids are eligible for special education services. Discrepancy refers to a mismatch between a child's intellectual ability and his progress in schools. It compares the assessment of a child's intellectual ability with how much progress they've made at school. There may be a significant difference between the various sets of scores.